さすが絵だポッドキャスト Hello and welcome to Sasuga Ada's monthly podcast where I provide a space for you guys to share your creativity and answer Q&A questions and maybe share a little bit about me. You guys can submit Q&A questions and headcanons via Google Spreadsheet or email. I have links in the description. So, new year, new channel. I want to do more on this podcast than just read headcanons. I want the space to be a bit more personal, so I'm gonna add a corner for consulting. I can tell by the extreme tastes in anime characters that a lot of my subscribers have some issues in their life. And honestly, I get it. I've been through puberty and have my fair share of issues too. It can be really, really hard, I know. So this is a safe space for us to share like the rough things going on in our life and supporting each other through our hardships. I hope we can make this community more understanding of each other and just provide a lot of care. So, without further ado, let's get started. 皆さんのマイ設定シェアリングタイム As always, we're gonna get started on headcanon submissions. So, first up, we have Sammy. Hi, Sammy, and thank you for submitting. You're submitting for MHA Bakugo, and your headcanon says, YN in the hospital, he's worried. And that's it. Yeah, of course. I mean, like, if YN's in the hospital, I'm pretty sure he would be worried. Like, that's a very valid headcanon. But I feel like a common mistake people have like on when submitting these headcanon submissions is that they think this headcanon is like a request form. This isn't really a request form for headcanon. So if you were trying to like ask me to make a headcanon of Bakugo being worried while Ryan's in the hospital, this is not the form for that. This is a place for you to share like your headcanon, so like be more specific, you know, like you can be as specific as possible, make it as long as possible, you know. A lot of people send really, really long headcanons and I'm all for it. So next time, go for it. And then next up we have Nova. Nova, the anime is Haikyuu, and then character Tadashi or Kyoken-chan. And then also in the Your Headcanon column, you said a spicy version since you never did one of those. That is true, I never did one of those. But this is not the form for that, guys. As always, like you guys, if you guys have any requests for me personally, for my headcanons, just put them in the YouTube comments. Like I read those. Like you don't have to like actually like put it in this form. This is for you. This is for you guys, you know. Okay. And then next up, we have Peanut for Tokyo Revengers, Shuji Hanma. Ooh, oh my god, another problem king. Okay, him as a loving boyfriend, not like how people think he accidentally actually is. YN could also be in a gang where they are always getting hurt and always in fights, so at times you both have small arguments of him telling you to leave the gang because he's very scared for you. This always gets y'all into small fights, and after it's over, he could be petty and pout in his room, then rush out for one of his fights. When he comes back, he could be covered in blood and or whatever. Please, Ada, decide the rest. Your vid, I guess. Okay, then again, like, this is like my podcast, but this is supposed to be your headcanon, so I can't really decide for you. But I do like where you're going. I don't see Shuji Hanma as a loving boyfriend, unfortunately. Like, if you really have to, like, write a fanfic and convince me, like, go for it. But I personally don't see him as one. I like the idea of, like, loving boyfriends and, like, you know, toxic loving boyfriends, you know. It's a fantasy, like especially guys like Hanma who are like, you know, wild and absolutely like insane and like just bad boys in general, you know, lawbreakers, heavy criminal, like you know. So those guys, imagining them having like that like loving side to them, it can be really romantic, but honestly I don't see that much in Hanma personally. Because unlike let me think about it. Who do I think? Okay, so unlike Mikey, who I also think is kind of like, you know, if you guys read the manga, you know that like he is pretty dark. Mikey's head gets pretty dark, right? But unlike Mikey, who even though has these like really violent urges, you know, he's still a decent guy in like down deep in the heart. Hanma, I never really saw that decency in him. Like none in the manga, none in the anime. It's just like he was just like a criminal through and through. So, yeah, it was really difficult, you know, just seeing. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I don't find him hot or anything. I do think he's a hottie, but in the end, it's just it's so hard for me to see him as like a loving guy. Okay. Yeah, next one. We have from Kat. Thank you, Kat. And anime is Haikyuu, and the character is Kageyama Tobio. Let's go. Okay, so your headcanon is: he takes YN on a date to a pretty crowded place, and imagine YN get kinda overwhelmed in really crowded places, so Kageyama notices YN being kinda overwhelmed, and he would like grab their hand and kinda just leave with no explanation, and would take YN to their favorite place instead. Aww, that's actually so sweet of him. Yeah, I think that's very a valid Kageyama thing to do, you know? Like, I think in general Kageyama is not a very observant guy. Like, he isn't exactly in tune to other people's emotion, but when it comes to like people that he cares about, he does like read them really well. So the reason why I say that is because like in the anime, when you see Kageyama interact with like a lot of the other people on the Karasuno team, he is pretty clueless as to like how they're feeling. Like, he doesn't really like seem to care about what like Tsukishima is feeling, like what like Yamaguchi is feeling, you know. He kind of just like reads them wrong. But when it comes to Hinata, he always seems to know what Hinata is feeling, you know, like what is going on in Hinata's head. So like for Kageyama, like he is really in tune with emotions when it comes to people he care about, and then otherwise he is just like an airhead, like he doesn't know anything. So I think it's really, really cute, and if you guys haven't already figured it out, I am a big Kagehina shipper, so okay. Alright, thank you guys so much, and let's move on to the email section. Because like, remember, you guys can send headcanon requests to me via either email or the spreadsheet. So, and I do have those linked in the description. And for the email templates, the template itself is not, I have it on like a Google Doc, and the template itself is not editable. Basically what you want to do is copy and paste from that template to an email and email it to me at sasuga.ada@gmail.com. No caps. Okay, next up we have a submission from Marcy, our lovely Marcy, who is a regular here, and she gives these really good situations and headcanons, and she is such a good writer, and her wording, her grammar, her imagery, absolutely perfect, spot on. So, really excited. So we have from Marcy a situation for BNHA with Dabi. Hey, my boy. Okay, so the situation is, it's Dabi's birthday. Since he's a villain, it wouldn't be the typical type of birthday where he can be out in public. To make this day special, you wanted it to feel like a real birthday since he doesn't normally do the whole celebratory thing. Furthermore, his birth isn't something he cares for. However, you go out of your way to get him a nice blue and white frosted cake and says a simple happy birthday. You were pretty good at arts and crafts, as well as had a great photographic memory, so you spend your time days before leading up to his birthday to make him a gift you knew he'd appreciate. You also got party supplies and ingredients to cook him a birthday feast. Dobby would be curious about what you were doing in your spare time since you were hiding from him and his group of companions and being a bit sneaky about everything. When you got home, Spinner and Toga helped to decorate the apartment as Dobby just watched and blew the balloons out of boredom. He doesn't complain about your effort. It was sort of wasted, but at the same time, if he was being honest with himself, he did appreciate it. It's the most anyone has done for him ever. It's the most anyone has done for him ever, really. So it wasn't bad at all. You put the cake in the fridge while you cook. Shigaraki was resting in your spare bedroom, so it was just what was left of this. Shigaraki was resting in your spare bedroom, so it was just what was left of the rest of them here. Toga plays some music of her choice and dances around and pretends to dance with someone since Spinner wasn't up to dancing. Dobby got up to dance a bit, but he was rocking you from side to side, teasing, nibbling at your ear. Oh, you swat him away since you're still cooking and preparing a nice meal for them. You think Toga is dancing with the fantasy twice. You knew how close they were. Once you were finished preparing the dinner, Toga helped to set the table as you put the delicacies in the middle of the table. After that, you danced with her, and when you'd had enough of her trying to swipe a taste of your blood, you sat everyone down to eat while you got the cake out and prompted them to sing happy birthday to Dobby. Toga and you were the only ones that really sang before they all dug in. Toya wasn't a fan of sweet things, but he definitely ate his cake and finished his dinner. After the dinner, you sat beside Toya to hand him his gift. Eyebrows raised, he really wondered what it could be. You're really something else. You know that? He chuckles once he opens the wrapped present. He reached in and took out the framed drawing of his father. What the fuck? His old man's face froze in utter shock and fear. Oh man. I wanted to give you something you'd find meaningful and enjoyable, you explained, watching his reaction. It was just like he'd seen it, full of shock, panic, fear, disbelief, all in one. He laughed so hard till he started to wheeze. So that's why you told me to think back to my favorite memory? He asked, since you had a quirk that helped you see the memories of others. It wasn't a useful quirk as you'd like it to be, but it was still an okay one. I bet I captured every essence of his fear, huh? You nudged him, wondering what he really thought. He just continues to grin widely at the drawing before grabbing your shoulders. He slots his lips against yours quickly. It was a loud smack of lips together. He pulls back, and his scary smirk etched on his face. Not bad, was all he said before he continued to stare at it. Toga and Spinner looked at his present with him, and Toga's eyes lit up. Toya's answer was pretty much good for you. It was a success. Aww, and that's it. Okay, that is actually really, really funny. I didn't expect YN to get Toya or Dobby a picture of Endeavor. That's actually really funny. I really like that. So I love the fact that like everyone was being chaotic and dancing, and the fact that you used fantasy twice. You think Toga is dancing with a fantasy twice? That part, that kind of killed me. On the inside, I'm like, fantasy twice? Oh no, like a part of me just like died right then and there. It's yeah. And I love how in everyone's like fanon League of Villains is all like, oh, they're like a happy family, you know, they love each other and they celebrate together, they have parties and stuff, when in the canon, like, everyone really just like hates each other. And like Dobby literally never told them his real name until like that moment where he announced to the world, you know. So like Dobby never trusted them like at all in the canon series, which is I find is really funny. How everyone just like assumes that the League of Villains love each other. I think there's definitely a sense of camaraderie amongst the League of Villains, but I still don't think like everyone fully trusts each other. So that's a very interesting thing about like the MAJ fandom. So yeah. Anyways, Marcy, great situation as always. I actually liked how there was like minimal PDA kind of thing, like lovey-doveyness going on, and it was really just like the reader trying to really set up like a good party, and it was actually really wholesome. So yeah, I actually really live for things like this, so awesome job. Next up we have a headcanon from Marcy again, and this time it's for Shoto, of course, because Dobby and Shoto's birthdays are both in January, you know, love that. Okay, so the headcanon, it's the little princess birthday. Hey, happy birthday! It's the little princess birthday. I think whether his gifts are bought or made, really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. His birthday isn't something he fusses over. You could literally take him out for cold soba and he'd love you forever. Of course, it does feel good to get a cake made by Sato, and he loves being in the company of his friends and classmates. I think the cutest thing to do is make him a little good luck charm packet for him to carry around at all times. Aww, I think he would really love that, yeah. Thing about Shoto is I feel like he's the type of guy who literally will get surprised every single year that someone remembers his birthday. He'd be like, oh, you remember? It's not even just like, it's like, oh, you remember? It's like, oh, you actually remember? It's like, do people care about me? It's kind of like that, like inside him. So he's like such a wholesome little bean. I love him. Yeah, honestly, you don't even have to give him a birthday present for him to like appreciate you, because he appreciates the fact that you actually just like care about his birthday, and that's it. You know, you don't have to get him anything for him to be like grateful. And I think that's the beauty of Todoroki, is that he is the kind of guy who is grateful for the littlest things. So absolutely brilliant of a character, and I wish he was real. Honestly, I wish he were real. Alright, and that concludes our headcanon section. Yay! Didn't have much this month, but it was, you know, quality over quantity. So, absolutely loved it. Thank you so much for submitting your headcanons this month, and I'll see you guys in the next section. Sasuga Ida Q&A! Alright, so first up we have Sammy. Your question is, what happened to the Bakugo fanfiction you were writing? Fight me, protect me, love me. I've been following for a while, but there hasn't been an update since August. Hope you're doing okay though, heart. Aww, heart back. Yeah, that's a very valid question, and yeah, you know, it's not that I have a writer's block or anything, or okay, it kind of, in a way yes, but also in a way no, because I know how I want to end I know exactly how I want to end the story, and I'm working towards it. But the problem is that I've hit a part that I'm really bad at, which is like fight scenes. You know, I've hit a part where it's like I need to write a shit ton of fight scenes, and I need to come up with lots of details just to make sure that everything is covered. It's not like I could just write, oh, time skip, this happened, right? So I've hit a part where I need to like actually logically think it through and format some detailed scenes that can help me lead up to a point where I already know is gonna happen, So that part caused a lot of like writing, deleting. Is like, oh, I wrote this, see how it plays out. No, actually I don't like it, goes back, delete. And then the thing about like fight scenes and like sequences and just like kind of, and a lot of like inner thoughts, like scenes that have to contain a lot of people's inner thoughts, things like that, it takes a while to really like come up with. And while I'm writing that, I feel like it's not something I want to, and it's like, thing is, it's like this kind of stuff I have to like explore it a little as I go. So I'm not just writing a bit, publishing it, and writing a bit and publishing it. I can't do that anymore. Like I could do that back when I was writing a lot about like Kamiko and Bakugo's like inner like love development, because I know exactly how it's gonna play out. But now that I've hit a part where I don't really know how it's gonna play out, I have to just keep on writing and keep on writing and keep on writing. So I'm writing like chapters at a like. So I think I will be like writing many chapters before I can actually publish anything, because I'm not even sure if it's gonna work out the way I want it to. Like like the logic and stuff like that has to make sense. So I can't publish anything that I'm writing right now. So yes, I'm definitely putting effort into it and working on it, but also it's like I've also been like taking some time off of that story to work on short stories, my short anime short scenarios book, because I started Fight Me, Protect Me, Love Me around like 2020-ish, and while I was writing that, I basically like did not write anything else, right? So I had a lot of like other thoughts inside me that I wasn't able to, jot down. And so right now, as I've hit kind of like a little bit of like a blocker with that one, I'm kind of like using this time to also write things that I wasn't really able to write while I was working on that. So I'm hoping that you guys will not drop this book, but just like have it somewhere in your little library and keep it there for safekeeping. So I'll let you guys know when I like hit a good point with it. But thank you for asking. Next question we have is from Nova. How about Yamaguchi being a 100% bottom and Kentaro being a switch? Hopefully you have an early New Year's Eve. Thank you. I had a great New Year's Eve. And also, while we're at it, happy Chinese / Lunar New Year. I don't know if you guys celebrate it, but I sure do, and I've been eating so much the past few days, and I gained so much weight. But yeah, it is the year of the rabbit, and I am born the year of the rabbit. So, this is my year. This is our year for all you rabbits out there. So hope you guys have a great year. Okay, back to Yamaguchi being a 100% bottom. I can totally see that. Thing is like right now a big part of me still sees Yamaguchi as gay for Tsuki. Yes, I said it. And so even if he were straight, which for me is a bit hard to imagine because he's like so down bad for Suki, I think he would still be a bottom. Yes, 100%. He just like has no backbone in him, and whoever is going to be with him will just completely dominate him, and he'll just be like, oh, take me. And then Kentaro, Kyoken-chan being a switch, I can see that. I can totally see that, yes. But personally, I see Kentaro as a bottom. Like, if he were a switch, he'd be a 90% bottom and a 10% top. That's what he is. So, the reason being is that I think okay. So, confession from me. I actually think Bakugo is also a bottom. Bakugo is a switch, but more leaning towards being a bottom. I don't know. I just find like violent and like hot-headed tsunderes being bottoms really funny and sexy, and I just, I see them as bottoms because it's just funny. Because like they're just taking it and complaining and like being tsunderes while taking it, and that's just really cute. Okay. I will stop. Okay, next up we have a question from Peanut. I've been a fan for a long time now, around when you started your channel. Yes, I've subscribed. Aw, thank you. So many times when I comment on your vids, I'm never sure you see it a lot. But recently, I've been spamming your channel for this one, Shuji Hanma. Yes, I know, Shuji Hanma. Okay, believe it or not, I'm actually planning a video for Shuji Hanma. And yes, and I had to like convince myself and write an entire like short scenario, like a one shot for that. So yes, it is coming. I swear to God, it is coming. And in fact, like, you know how it's like holiday season, right? So I've been like doing a lot of holiday headcanons, but I'm kind of like drying out on holiday headcanons because for me, it's like holiday season kind of ends at Chinese New Year. Reason being, I'm single and I don't celebrate Valentine's Day, and Valentine's Day is just a day to remind me how single I am. So yes, which is why, like, I feel very dried out with the holiday headcanons, because the closer we get to Valentine's Day, the more lonely I get, and then the less I want to do these headcanons. Yeah, okay, that's my big confession. But yes, Shuji Hanma, definitely. It's been planned for a long time. So yes, I've been like procrastinating on him. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, definitely. Okay, next up we have a question from Marcy. Hey Ada, what do you think of sports anime versus action anime? Okay, emotion-wise, they are equal. Like, for me, emotion-wise, I think they're like absolutely equal to each other, because they're both like hot-blooded, like camaraderie, like I save you, you save me, you got my back kind of thing going on, and things like learning how to like work with others, and just and kind of like leveling up, right? No matter if you're like in an action anime or a sports anime, whatever, it doesn't matter if you're training to be the best magician in the world, or training to be the best, to be the Hokage, or training to be the best hero, or just training to be a pro soccer player or a pro like baseball player or whatever. You're training, you're leveling up. So it is technically like on the same plane level for me, which is why I enjoy both sports anime and action anime very, very much. And people always get like confused when I tell them that I'm a big sports anime fan. They're like, what? Why? I'm like, why? Don't you want to watch a baseball hang in the air for like a whole episode? It's like, it just is, it's kind of the same thing as, don't you want to see this guy charge up an attack for a whole episode? Kind of like that. So yeah, I like them equally for their emotion, but I also do think like action animes do provide more kind of like animation, like so especially like animes like Jujutsu Kaisen, where you have a lot of like these light streaks and things like that going on. Also, I haven't watched Chainsaw Man yet. I have a friend who says she wants to watch it with me, so which is why I've been like holding back myself from watching it without her. So I'm sure the animation is great, and so things like that. Like, I think action animes, they typically have like more badass animation effects in the background, so like lightning streaks and all that, like zoomies, and whereas in sports anime, I think it's going to be a bit harder. I think my top sports anime animations are Haikyuu and Ace of Diamonds. I don't count Kuroko no Basket because Kuroko Basket is not real enough. It's a bit fake, but it's still appreciated. But I think things like Haikyuu, where you get to see like that slow motion of him on top of the net, like gazing at the other side, quality animation. And then the part where you get a zoom in of his eye and then the ball reflecting in his eye, that is really cool too. And then in Dial No Ace, or Ace of Diamonds, whenever you see that baseball slowly, like from the batter's point of view, like you see that ball slowly come in, and I just think like that's really, really cool. And it's like, it's not some insane badass animation, but it does give like the viewer this very different kind of like experience with like the anime. And these kind of things like you'll never be able to really experience in real life when you're like watching sports. So I think it's really cool. And so yeah, that's my thoughts on sports anime and action anime. What about you guys? Also, quick question for you guys. Like, you guys know that I'm a big sports anime and action anime fan, but I'm also a big fan of like dumb anime. So like Psyche, Kusuo, and like recently I've been watching this like really dumb Chinese anime called God Troubles Me. It's on Netflix. It's actually hilarious, especially if you are familiar with a lot of like Chinese mythology. Absolutely hilarious. It's about like these Chinese gods trying to understand modern human society. Because like back in the day they were like the gods of, I don't know, gods of thunder, gods of yada yada, and now today they're like, I'm the god of cell phones, or I have become the god of cell phones because that's what you guys live by nowadays. And it's actually really funny, so, and really dumb. So yeah, that's the kind of thing I like. So, but what about you guys? You know, I know a lot of people are into like rom-coms. I'm like meh about rom-coms nowadays. Like I can't really get into them. But back in the day when I was in like middle school, I was obsessed with Ouran High School Host Club and Kaicho and Maid-sama and those classic rom-coms. Nowadays, less of a rom-com fan. Yeah. So like, what about you guys? You know, any like recommendations? Any anime recommendations outside of the sports and action genre? Like, you know, I'll take anything, guys. Okay. And then we got a message from Marcy. Hey Ada, hope all is well. Life update, I'm back in school. Super glad now. I just really have to give it all my all, and I want to, but I must admit I do get distracted. How's work going and your family? I know you're busy and all. I'm just happy I'm able to continue to support whatever you do and aspire in. This is the year of the bunny! With each month that passes, keep hopping towards greatness. Happy 2023. Stay healthy and happy. Happy 2023 to you too, Marcy. I hope you are doing well and healthy, and I hope your school life is treating you well, and I hope you, I don't know, when do you graduate? But I hope you graduate happily and successfully. Unlike me, I graduated with like a really low GPA, but I was just glad to like just be able to pass. So I hope you do well, and I hope school's not giving you too much stress. I know it gave me so much stress. So I hope everything is going well for you, and new year, new luck. You know, bunny is the year of luck. Like rabbits are notorious in China, in Chinese culture for being lucky. So I hope this year brings you a lot of luck. And work is going, just, you know, just normal. You know, work is work for me and my family. They're all doing great. My parents are, healthy as always, and, you know, we're a big happy family. So yeah, happy new year from me and my family. So hope you guys are all doing well. and I hope that everyone will have a great 2023, you know, and I'm really grateful, and I didn't really expect this channel to like grow like this. So, and I do see now that I have like over 80k subscribers, which is insane. I actually did not expect that. I just kind of expected this channel to like die sometime in 2021, and people to be like, yeah, who's Sasuga Ada again? Like, oh, I don't know her. Like, I expected me to be a phase. So yeah. So really, really honored that you guys kept with me. You know, sometimes I'm like, what is up with these people? Like, because, you know, yeah. So I think this is like, we're gonna naturally move on to just me talking about a little bit about me. Like, I guess, because on this channel, I do get a lot of like hate comments on my videos saying, ew, why do you talk about this stuff? Oh no, he's a minor. Or, oh no, she's a minor. Like, you're gross. Like, oh my god, this is so cringe. I'm like, yeah, this is very cringe. Like, I look back on a lot of my videos, and you guys don't understand that I have more like in common with my haters than I do with like people who support me. Like, every time I look back on myself and then like on these videos and I see like hate comments, and I just like end up agreeing with them. I'm like, you're right. You're right. This sucks. This is so cringe. Like, what is wrong with me? Yeah, so honestly, I didn't expect this channel to grow that big. So thank you guys so much, you know, for actually loving what I do and caring about me and just making my life wonderful. Thank you guys. You know, you guys are the highlight of my life. So yeah. I guess like since this year I wanted to like make this channel a little bit more interactive and I guess a little bit more personal. So I wanted to do some like sharing about me and like problems I've had in my life, and I hope like, you know, because like I know a lot of people are going through hard times. So whether you're in school or you're working, you know, and you have going just like sometimes you're feeling down, you know, I hope just me being here and sharing some of my problems can make you feel better. I guess. Okay. So the problem I want to share is that well, I guess this is a problem that everyone, like a lot of people have in common, is that I'm hella single. So lately my parents aren't the type of like Asian parents that like are trying to force me to get married and have children or anything. Like, in fact, my mom actually doesn't care if I have children, nor does my dad. And they want me to marry for love, so they don't want me to just like get married to get married. But they are afraid that I won't be able to find love, because because like in their words, I'm like an antisocial, which is not inaccurate. I guess it's pretty accurate. Like I don't go out and socialize very often, mainly because I'm lazy. I feel like back in the day I always thought I was an extrovert because I liked hanging out with friends, but recently I've grown to realize that I'm actually much more of an introvert than I thought I was, because now, especially like I feel like as I grew older, I became more and more introverted. Like meeting new people drains my social battery. I absolutely hate like going out on like dates with like when you do online dating and then you want to meet people like in person for the first time. I absolutely hate it. I dread it. The worst thing that could happen to me is like that I'm talking to this guy online and then he's like, hey, you want to meet up in person? I'm like, no. Never. Yeah, so that's like I feel like that's something a lot of people have, like an issue a lot of people have been having. Oh my god, I can't talk. Lately, especially at my age. So I'm in my early 20s, right? Or mid 20s. Okay, I'm actually nearing my mid 20s. Oh my god, this is so sad. Oh my god, I'm turning 24 this year, right? So I'm in my like mid 20s. And something that I've realized is that a lot of people in their early to mid 20s, they start to go like suffer from like loneliness. And this loneliness isn't just like, oh no, nobody's like hanging out with me, I feel so lonely, I'm like all alone at home. No, it's not like that. I have my parents. I live with my parents, right, to save rent, and also because I'm single. Like when I get married, I'll move out. But like the thing is like the reason why I feel like people our age suffer from loneliness is because like we're out of the school. Like after you get out from school and you don't have like that tight-knit community anymore, like a bond of like, you know, having friends in like having schoolmates and stuff like that, and club mates and stuff, and you go into the workforce where I feel like a workplace is less of a community than a school is, right? So with that lack of a community, I feel like people start to get quite lonely. And I have to admit that is the case with me, is like sometimes I do feel pretty lonely, in that I don't really have a lot of friends to hang out with. And the fact that I went to school abroad, like I went to college abroad, right, means that a lot of my friends, even back here in America, who also studied abroad in that university, are scattered all across the country, and so I can't just like see them. Whereas a lot of my friends who stayed in state to go to university, a lot of them have a lot of college friends like nearby, so they could just like hang out. And also I feel like people our age and in our generation, I feel like we don't like reach out as much as, you know, people in my parents' generation do. Like people in my parents' generation, they don't have any anxiety of like reaching out to old friends, you know. Whereas people in my generation, whenever we haven't like talked to someone in a long time, it feels awkward to start a conversation with them again. Like a lot of time my mom asked me, hey, you haven't hung out with so and so again like in a long time, right? I'm like, yeah, I haven't. And then she's like, why don't you reach out to them? I'm like, huh, you're right, why don't I? And then the answer to that question, in like deep down I know, is like, it's awkward, right? What do I say? You know, it's been a while, you know, what are they gonna say? Like, oh, why is this person like reaching out to me? That's weird, you know. But most of the time that's actually not the case, because like when I actually do reach out, a lot of people are like, oh my god, I'm so glad you did, you know, like, because like them too, like they also have like the same problem as me, is like where they haven't been hanging out with like friends as often, and then they're also afraid of reaching out to old friends. So I think for a lot of you guys out there who are listening to this podcast, whether you're in your early, mid, late 20s, or even like in your teens, or if you're not in your teenage years, you probably should not be listening. Like, you should not be on my channel in general. So like, I'm assuming everyone, like, I think my main target audience is like 16 and older. At least I hope it is. I think 16 is enough of an age to talk about like weird shit. But I like try not to keep the podcast as that explicit. So hopefully, yeah. But I'm just saying, it's like if you're nearing graduating from high school or nearing graduating from college, I think this is like a message from like, you know, someone who's in their mid-20s to you guys, is that don't be afraid to reach out to old friends. You know, when you get to like my age, you know, try to like be more brave, I guess. Like, I feel like bravery doesn't really come in just like being able to stand up for other people, or stand up for yourself, things like that. I think bravery comes in is like where you're able to overcome the fear of awkwardness. I think the fear of awkwardness is a fear that a lot of people tend to like overlook. Is that like, and it's something that really haunts a lot of us. Like, a lot of us are afraid of an awkward situation. We're afraid of like putting ourselves in that a place where we think would be awkward but isn't really awkward. There's a funny saying in China is like, if I'm not awkward, the person who's awkward is you. Like, as long as I don't feel awkward, you're gonna feel awkward. So like, don't feel awkward, okay? Empower yourself by not feeling awkward. Let other people feel awkward. That's basically the saying. Yeah, and I think like New Year, New Me, I kind of want to like live by not being kind of, I want to overcome that fear of awkwardness. I don't want to have awkwardness like rule my life. So that's something that I want to work towards. And I hope you guys also have new goals in your life and are working towards something. And this new year, I want to kind of have this channel as something that, where you guys can actually consult with me. Like, if you guys have personal issues in your life, so for example, like some people have been telling me, like I have like some family friends who are still in high school, right? And they're saying how like, oh my god, like I feel so like left out of everything. I feel like making friends in high school is so hard, and everyone seems so fake. At least that's the messages I've gotten. Things like that. Like, if you guys feel like you don't really have anyone to talk to, I think this is a nice space for you guys, because you can always like leave your like little problems here anonymously. Or like use a fake name, right? Like, so yeah, I feel like when I was a teenager, or when I was going through puberty, I didn't really have someone that I could really consult with. Like, I could consult with my parents because I was actually on really good terms with them. But the thing is like me consulting with them didn't really help, because the society they were raised in and was really different from this like the kind of like time and era that I was raised in. So even though they were really nice, like my parents are really progressive and accepting, but they could never actually like understand like what I was going through and provide like really good advice. Does that make sense? It's like I appreciate their advice when I was that age, but it didn't really apply well to the situation I was in. So I feel like I want the space to be something that, or at least I want to become someone who can provide good advice, who's like been through things. I'm not like that old, but I've at least been through high school and college. So I hope like I can provide advice to people who need it, who are going through like tough times that I've been through. So if you guys have any sort of, things that you feel like you can't tell other people, and also you don't, you want to stay anonymous, I feel like I can be that person to, help confide you in your troubles. So yeah, just feel free to drop an email or put it in the Headcanon submission form. Like I put a new column there for people to like, like tell me their, I guess, personal problems, I guess, and seek out advice. And so yeah, I hope to become that friendly neighborhood older sister to you guys. So I think I'm going to end this podcast here, and happy Chinese New Year to or Lunar New Year, because it's not just a Chinese thing anymore. So yeah, happy Lunar New Year, Year of the Rabbit to all of you guys, and hope you guys have a very, very lucky 2023. I hope you guys have successful educational lives, successful careers. I hope you guys can actually talk, unlike me. You know. So yeah. And then I hope that this channel becomes, in a way, successful. My version of successful is like, people are having fun. So I guess thank you guys so much for supporting this channel, and let's make this new year another great year. Thank you guys.